Welcome to part 2 of our Pricelabs demonstration. We trust that you found part 1 of use to you. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, then visit our channel and you'll find it there. Today we're going to delve much deeper to what Pricelabs is capable of, and Sienna will go through with you some of the strategies that Pricelabs can do to help with you with your own pricing strategies. Settle down and enjoy. Over to you, Sienna.
All right, so this is just well, what I was going to speak about, it was going to be on before that. But actually, before we kind of get into the whole Pricelabs screen and customizations thing, this is sort of what I was referring to when we say that we use a lot of different customizations to set up our pricing strategy. And I just wanted to touch on this slide from the presentation that I shared last time, which shows how prices are generated on Pricelabs. So very quickly, just to recap, the most important thing is setting your base price, which is your average daily rate for the year. After that, we have to consider that Pricelabs, of course, uses a lot of data that we collect every single day, and some of the things that we sort of use as market information are seasonality, day of week trends, lead time, so that's sort of the booking window. We look at your neighborhood and we sort of look at demand, how the market is pacing. We also look at your internal occupancy. So these are calculations that happen on a daily basis. We're constantly looking at these things, and every 24 hours, we're updating the prices. Now, after that, sort of all information calculations been added into the algorithm, we then have user-defined customizations. Some of them are already applying on Pricelabs, and others you can actually customize yourself. So either add or customize yourself to really implement your pricing strategy. So what I'll touch on today is the most used customizations. Believe me, even in a full onboarding session, we can't touch on all of these different customizations because it's a lot to learn. But actually, the thing is, you probably won't need to use all of these. So it would be just for your information. But generally speaking, we will talk about the most used ones today. So with that in mind, I'm going to hop over to my Pricelabs account. This is my sort of my own personal account. I have 4 listings in here. And this is what you guys would see when you log on to your own Pricelabs. It's your pricing dashboard. I may have touched on this a little bit before, but let's just talk about a few important things for this page. Now, first of all, when you log in, you will be able to see here what your minimum and base price is set up to, and you will straight away see that I have a little yellow dot below one of my base prices. And this is because Pricelabs has been monitoring my listings, it's been monitoring what's been going on, and it's suggesting that I lower my base price. I mean, we can straight away see here that my occupancy isn't great, so I probably need to do some changes, right? Now, we do the same thing. We offer base price and minimum price recommendations. Whether that be to lower them or increase them, you will see them in the same way here as soon as you log on to Pricelabs. You will have the option, if you click on them, you can accept or reject, or if you click on learn more, as I'm doing now, it's actually essentially the help me choose a base price tool that loads up, and it will give you here a reason as to why we're suggesting a different base price. If you're new to Pricelabs, so if you've just imported your listings, please bear in mind that we do need around 13 days of syncing to be able to actually recommend these changes to your base price. So that's something that you'll see as long as you've been syncing for more than 13 days. So this is one of the things. So I can either accept or reject. Let's say I will accept it, and straight away it will change here. So it's a super quick process. The next and most important thing that I see by default as soon as I log in is these 3 metrics here that are my listing level health. There are different performance metrics that we've added onto the screen, and what they are is it basically shows my listings occupancy for the next 7, 30, and 60 days. The percentages are my occupancy, but we can see that they're color-coded. And the reason they're color-coded is that it tells me how I'm doing compared to the market. Now, with this first listing here, I'm just going to get rid of this. We can see that I am actually occupied at 57%, and the color is blue. If I place my cursor over 57%, I can see that the market is actually occupied at 37%. So straight away, I know that I am doing better than the market's occupancy at the moment. So this is the reason why I'm showing in blue. Now, if I was always showing in red last minute, we can see here I'm occupied at 0%, the market's at 42%. I mean, I'm really not performing well. And straight away, this gives me some sort of an insight that either I'm not competitive and I'm a bit overpriced for last minute bookings, or maybe my minimum stay restrictions are a little bit too strict. So straight away, I know that I can either work on my last minute pricing, or I can also consider maybe gradually lowering my restrictions, my stay restrictions, to allow a more flexible booking to come in. And similarly, if I'm always blue for far out dates, so here we can see I'm at 30% for the next 60 days, market is at 22%. Maybe I'm one of the first people to get booked, so it might be a good idea to actually either think about if I can do anything else with my far out prices, maybe increase them. Maybe I want to increase also my minimum stay restrictions to get nicer long stays in the diary for these future dates. So straight away, you have some nice actionable insights here. Now, something new that we added on recently is this Add Metrics button at the top. Here you can actually select over 40 different metrics that are important to you. So you can pick a few, you don't have to add all 40 of them, but you can add them straight away to this screen here. And straight away, as soon as you log in, have a look to see what's been happening. I'm just going to add a few to show you. Where are we? Let's see here. So just as an example, you add them here to your screen. Some of them are with historical data. Some have future-looking data. These listings are dummy listings, so not all of the information is popping up, but you will be able to see all of this information here on your screen. If your font is a little bit larger, you just need to scroll to the right to see all of them. But definitely do explore these. If you want to know a little bit more about them, in our knowledge base, you can type in performance metrics, and each and every one of them will be explained. Here you can also customize your view. Anything you don't need, you can remove it and get rid of it. Perfect. So this is it about this screen. I'm going to move over now to listing level and talk about a few things that we have going on here. Let me just remove them first. Okay. So this is our listing calendar. And this is where we can have a look to see how our listing is doing price-wise. So what prices are being generated? When am I available? When do I have a booking? Just as a quick reminder, color-coded to tell you when there's low occupancy, high occupancy. There's 2 levels in the middle. It shows you unbookable nights. Maybe you don't allow orphan nights, minimum stay restrictions, and so on. But it's not easy to see what's happening in the year ahead unless you manually navigate through the different months. So I suggest here from the 3 dots in the top right corner to click on them and click on full year calendar. If you scroll down on the page now, you can see how your calendar ahead is looking and easily identify dates in high demand, as well as see what occupancy you have left for the future months. I also suggest for you to add on notes. So notes you can see here appear on the right-hand side. It's handy to remind yourself of what you've done. And if you guys work with account level settings or group level settings, so this is something that you don't do on the listing level, but maybe you have a group of listings that you work on. Maybe you manage all of your settings in the same way. You can actually add also date-specific overrides in the same way that I've done here, but you can add it to your group calendar or the account calendar. Unless you select highlight dates with overrides, They won't appear on your calendar. Now you can see that they're here because there's a little triangle in the top right corner. So again, if you hover over the price, you have the pricing tooltip come up, and straight away under price customizations, I can see that date override on account level is applying. So this is super handy if you use these group or account level date specific overrides. Cool. This is it for customizing your view. Let's go and talk a little bit about customizations, what the most used customizations are. And I think that everyone always likes to hear a little bit about how to set up minimum stay restrictions. So I will always touch up on this because I know that it can be confusing at times. Okay, so to set our customizations, we need to click on edit if we're doing it on listing level. If we manage our settings on a group level or on an account level, you would need to navigate from dynamic pricing to customizations. And then this is where you can set those settings up. Okay, so let's say I have different groups here. I've created a group specifically for all my listings that have a 3-night minimum stay. I can create it from here, from the group section. If I look at this little video here, we have a little help section. It will show you also how you can assign your listings into groups in the manage listings section. But if I had groups created, and this is how I set the customizations, I can do it from here. If I click on edit, the same set of customizations will appear. So it just depends. Same thing happens here on accounts as well. It just depends how you manage your listings. For today's session, not everyone uses groups. For today's session, I'm just going to go on listing level. But it's good for you to know you can also do it in another way. When you have settings on listing, group, and account level, there is a hierarchy that applies. So remember, always the most specific setting is the one that takes preference over the others. So if I have minimum stay rules set up on account, group, and listing level, it will be the listing level rule that applies. If I have them on group and account level, it's the group that will apply. So always the more specific one is the one that takes preference over the others. Okay, we're gonna go into customizations now and edit on listing level. So here, first thing I want to do, I've already got a setting applying on group level, but it doesn't matter. To set minimum stay restrictions on Pricelabs, you need to turn the toggle on, okay? As soon as you do this, only if you are on the listing level, you will find the setting suggestions available. This is a help tool that by selecting what type of properties you manage, is it short-term rentals, is it mid-term rentals? If you click on go, we will analyze to see what's happening in your market and give you a min stay suggestion that you can apply to your listing. If you choose to use exactly this, or if you choose to use part of it but customize the rest, you can click on apply and customize. What this will do is it will populate here all the information, and you can go ahead and amend anything that you want. But I am going to actually get rid of these things so that I can explain one by one how we would set up our profile. I always suggest when you work with minimum stay restrictions, set up minimum stay profiles. You can do it from here by clicking create profile. The reason for this is it's very time consuming to go into each and every listing, and set the same rules up multiple times. If you create a profile, the listings that overlap with the same settings can just, you can just attach a different profile to them, and then you're done. You don't have to do it 1,000 times. But anyway, we said that we're going to create one today. So I'm going to click on create new profile, and we're going to call this profile, I don't know, 3 nights min stay, London. Maybe I have listings in other locations. Now, first thing I want to do is define what my default minimum stay is. For this profile, I think it's only necessary that I do my minimum stay to be 3 nights. And then I can add different layers to make these minimum stays dynamic. Bear in mind, far out bookings, last minute bookings, orphan gaps, you can add up to 5 layers here. So you can really make them dynamic to basically kick in at different lead times, at different booking windows, depending on what date someone is trying to book for. So I'm going to start from the bottom up because it's easiest to explain. But here, first option that we can see is your far out bookings. Far out bookings, I might want to increase my stay far out so that I can get longer durations in my diary for those that are looking to book far out. So for example, I can say that anyone booking beyond 30 nights needs to book a minimum of 4 nights. Anyone booking beyond 60 nights needs to book a minimum of 5 nights, and so on. I can add 5 layers here. The next thing I want to do is consider whether I should be more flexible last minute. So I can say, for example, that it depends if you guys accept one nights or not. Some people don't. Let's, for the sake of this stay profile, say that I do accept one night stays. I might want to say that, hey, I will accept one night stays within 3 days if there's any availability left. But I'm willing to lower my minimum stay to 2 days within 14 days of booking. So here I've increased far out, I've decreased the stay for last minute bookings. And now I need to think about what if I have 2 bookings confirmed in the diary, so 2 confirmed bookings, and I have a gap in between of 1 or 2 nights that essentially becomes unbookable. So this is what an orphan gap is, because each of these 1 or 2 nights will carry that 3 nights minimum stay, and no one will be able to book it. It will be blocked off my calendar. What I can do here is actually say, hey, Pricelabs, I want you to open up this gap. If there's a gap of 2 nights created, I want you to open it up, and this is what my minimum stay restriction for this gap will be. So again, you can add up to 5 layers here. But here, for example, just very quickly, if I define my gap as between 1 and 2 nights, I can choose, if I leave it as length of gap, so on the left-hand side here, we define what the minimum stay restriction is for the gap between 1 and 2 nights. If I leave it as length of gap, it means that the system will automatically try to fill out the full duration of this gap. So if I have a gap of 2 nights created, no one can book 1 night. It has to be 2 nights. So if I leave it as length of gap, I want to fill out that gap in its entirety that's created. But I can also select length of gap -1, which means that if there's a gap of 2 nights, I'm okay to receive 1 night less. Or I can also go ahead and just say, hey, you know what? If there's a gap between 1 and 2 nights, for the weekday, I'm totally fine with receiving 1 night bookings. But for the weekend, I want it to be a 2 night minimum. You can also go ahead and do this. So you can define your minimum stay on the left, define your gap on the right. And then for me, most importantly, is decide when you want to open up these orphan gaps. You might not want them to apply every single day in the future. You might want to say, okay, if I have a gap created from today in the next 30 days, so 30 days is my booking window, only then am I willing to open up this gap. Why? Because if I have a longer duration in the diary for far out and someone cancels that, I might be left with a 1 night stay, which will, of course, ruin my chances of getting a longer duration booked in the diary. So you can create more of these rules depending on how you've also layered out your far out bookings and whether you want to accept gaps for these far out bookings as well. Once you're done with this profile, we need to click on Save Profile, and it will apply it on here. So again, if you look at the drop-down, it will always stay here in your drop-down. You can just select it, but you can create a profile pretty much from anywhere where you can apply minimum stay rules. So hopefully that was useful. Cool. So this was the minimum stay settings. I'll go over to general now. If you have time, guys, have a look at the smart presets area. We would have asked you what type of property you're managing. So it could be short-term, mid-term, or multi-unit. Based on the property that you're managing, we will give you a set of customizations with different tips and also a reason as to why we're recommending these settings. So have a look at these when you have time. These are just your recommendations, but otherwise all of the other customizations are available under more customizations. You can click the pin so that it always stays open for you. Otherwise, you might forget that it's there. But let's move over to some of the most used customizations. First thing, and by the way, I know I'm talking a lot, so if you have any questions at the end of this, of course, I'm happy to take them. Just make sure you remember them. It's a lot of information. Okay, first thing is the last minute and far out prices. I'm going to combine these into one. Why? Because as part of our breakthrough release recently, we launched something super cool, which is market-driven last minute and far out prices. Until recently, we had this sort of standard rule for everyone where we would apply a certain gradually decreasing percentage to sort of every listing, which of course you can modify and make your own. But now we're actually using live market data that is updated every 24 hours. And based on that data, we decide what the discounts should top out to for same night bookings and how far ahead it should sort of decrease until there's no last minute discount. So at the moment, if we have a look to see what is applying here, first of all, anything that's green and it says that it's applying is already there. It's already applying to your pricing. So in order to either switch it off or change it, you actually need to toggle it on. But at the moment, market-driven last minute and far out prices are applying. So what it says here is that the discount increases and tops out at 35% for same night bookings. So if anyone books for tonight, they will receive if anyone books for tonight, today, they will receive 35% discount. This discount will be gradually decreasing over the next 30 days until day 31 has 0% last minute discount. This is the data based on today. Tomorrow, I might see a different discount or a different booking window that it's applying to. If you have your own personal strategy in place, you can turn the toggle on and decide exactly what your last minute pricing should look like. Maybe you want to apply a gradual, 20% discount over the next 10 days, or maybe you want to actually apply a premium. So it doesn't always have to be a discount. Maybe you don't agree with last minute price adjustments. You can just switch it off, leave it like this, and we won't apply any last minute discounts. But if you leave it like this, market driven is applying. The same thing applies for far out pricing, which is under advanced customizations, and it's here. That's the same thing. Again, you can toggle on and decide what you want to do with this. Back to the general settings. This one is quite important for me. Customize orphan day prices. By default, we apply a 20% discount to any gaps. Again, remember, a gap is in between two confirmed reservations. So any gaps of 2 nights or less. This doesn't have to do anything with your orphan stay nights that you've put in. The reason is that if a gap of 2 nights is created here and you allow 2-night bookings, we will apply 20% discount. So if this is something that you don't agree with, or you want to apply a premium, or you want to change the discount or remove it completely, please make sure that you toggle this on. Here you can choose either no orphan day adjustment, or you can specify exactly what you want to add on. So you can say that you might want to, I don't know, let's say increase orphan days on the weekdays, but discount them on weekend. I'll change that in a second. Increase them here. You change it to a premium, define what the gap is and when you want to apply it. Or you can also change that to a discount and again, do the same, decide when you want to apply it. If you want to add more than one rule, again, you can keep adding as many as you want here. But the toggle will be off, which means that it's automatically applying because it's in green. I'll skip day of week pricing adjustment because this is something that we already take into consideration. Most likely you'll find that you don't have to touch this. Again, if you're new to Pricelabs, I would strongly recommend having a look to see how the prices during your week look like. And only then, when you're sort of aware of how the prices are calculated, only then think about adjusting the prices. You can do it here by entering in a number. If it's a discount, make sure you put a minus in front of the number, but it sort of does it in percentages. Occupancy-based adjustment is my favorite thing. It is applying by default, so I'm going to turn the toggle on, click on edit just to show you what it does. Occupancy-based adjustments is a very intuitive tool that sort of adjusts the prices so that you don't have to, and it does it based on your listing's performance and the lead time that we have left. It's something that is sort of put in place so that you don't have to manually go in all the time and do all of that work. What we're saying here, and this is only the default profile, we have a few others that you can use, but what we're saying here is that if I am really performing super poorly in the next 0 to 15 days, so I'm less than 10% occupied, Pricelabs will automatically add a 15% discount. Okay, so obviously that's needed, so it will apply it. If you're not occupied poorly, there's no discount, okay? But if in the next 31 to 60 days, I am performing really well and I'm booked up quite well, you can see that Pricelabs is actually applying a premium because I might be leaving money on the table. I don't want to be the first one getting booked. So it's sort of helping me stay competitive last minute and also helping me increase my revenue for far out bookings if I'm performing well. Again, this discount will not kick in if you're performing well, and also it will never go below your minimum. So bear that in mind. You have already your thresholds in place. If you have a super underperforming listing, just as an example, here you can select different profiles. Notice if I do aggressive, it changes the discount. If I do super aggressive, it's even higher. And anytime you amend any of these numbers here, it changes it to a custom profile. So you can also create your own custom profile. So I think that's quite cool. Hopefully you do as well. But I'm going to turn this off for now. Seasonal and minimum prices. Now, if you're in a highly seasonal area, bear in mind, we look at seasonality already in our algorithm. We do apply all of these trends before you decide that you want to change the prices for your seasons. Have a look through the months just to see how they're shaping up. You can absolutely create different seasons by turning the toggle on, clicking on edit profile, and you can create here, for example, if I have a Christmas season that I've created here, I might want to increase my minimum price by 20% just to push that threshold up, just to make sure that I'm not hitting my minimum, which I probably won't for Christmas, but I've already done this, so it's peace of mind for me. But there's another thing that I can do. So I don't really have to touch my prices if I don't want to. I can just attach a different minimum stay profile. So I can say, summer season for me, everyone comes down for summer holidays. I know that all the families are coming down. I can get bookings in. So from the 18th of July until the 7th of September, I only want to have 7 night stays in the diary. So I can attach a different minimum stay profile to different periods of the year. Make sure that I'm really maximizing my opportunities here with the length of stay that I want to see. So you can absolutely do that from here. If you're on a group level, please make sure you're using percentage. If you click on fixed and change any prices, you're just going to override your minimum or maximum on all of your listings. So I prefer, as a rule of thumb, just click on percentage. Okay, cool. Minimum weekend pricing, minimum far out pricing, that's quite self-explanatory. You can set these values on here if they're needed. And then under advanced customizations, bear in mind, weekend days for us are Fridays and Saturdays. If you consider another day of the week to be very sort of weekend heavy, you want to add, for example, Thursdays to your weekends. What this means is that any weekend specific customizations that you've set on Pricelabs will also apply on Thursday. So that's all it does, okay? Demand factor sensitivity, super cool feature where you can decide how aggressively Pricelabs applies demand in the algorithm. Again, if you want to see less fluctuation in your prices, you can change the demand factor to low. This means that during high peak times, we will apply a smaller increase, as opposed to what we normally do. And obviously the discount will be lower as well. If you change it to high, it will be much higher. So it will be multiplied a lot more, and you'll see that the increases and discounts will be very different as well. So you can do that from here. We already spoke about far out prices. And I think that's where I'm going to stop with the most used customizations. Because these are a little bit more sort of cosmetic changes here. But there's one thing that I just want to show you guys, if you don't mind. If you ever need to do a date-specific override, so let's say 19th of December, that's tonight, it's still available. I'm not getting, it's not getting booked. I can always click into the date here, into my calendar, and override all of the settings I have in place. So if I want, I can sell that for £10. Don't do that, but you can. You can set it here for £10. Pricelabs will warn you that you're trying to go below your minimum. You say, oh, that's not what I wanted to do, go back, or yes, that's exactly what I wanted to do. So I've set this to £10. I'm hitting save and refresh, sync now, and I'm sending it over to my property management system. Okay, that's one thing that you can do here to override your minimum price. Sometimes it can be a lot easier to look at your calendar with all of your listings under each other. Make sure you explore multi-calendar. For me, this is the easiest way to navigate my listings and the pricing that I've set on here. Again, sorry about this. It's just a test listing, but explore through the multi-calendar. It's super useful. You can absolutely customize your visibility and what you want to see on this multi-calendar. You can add the different metrics that we also discussed, and you can see all of your availability and pricing ahead. It's exactly the same color coding, minimum stays, overrides are displayed like this. If you need to apply an override in bulk, just select 3 listings, click on apply override. It needs to be in the same currency. I've got one in Bulgarian lev. So apply override. It will show you the 3 listings that you've selected, and you can decide exactly what you want to do. And it will override them all at the same time. So you don't have to do it just, to each individual listing. And from here, you pretty much have all of the options available that you have on listing level as well. So there's no need really to go on each listing unless you prefer to have that big view of your calendar. So this was what I also wanted to show you. And lastly, because I didn't mention it before, if you prefer to add these customizations on group or account level, if you go into customizations here, you can also add an override to your whole group or account level calendar. You just need to click on account calendar, pick the dates that you want, apply the override, and it will apply across all of your listings. So again, always, anytime you make a change, please make sure you click on save and refresh, sync now, so that it pushes through to your property management system, channel manager, OTA, wherever you're connected. But yes, that has been a super long and fast monologue. I hope that it's been clear, and I hope that you guys will let me know if you have any questions now on what I spoke about. Thank you so much.
That's brilliant. Thank you. That's brilliant, Tiana. Thank you so much. A really in-depth view of what Pricelabs does. If you like this video, like or subscribe to our channel for more great content.